For more, let's bring in Lawrence Wilkerson, former Chief of Staff to Secretary of State Colin Powell. Tell us, from what we've heard from Barack Obama, he's not willing to have Assad on board. Why is he urging a united response to the ISIL threat then?
It really doesn't make much sense. I have to think that in secret they're talking with Moscow, they're talking with Tehran, they're talking with Ankara, perhaps Riyadh, and they're talking a different line. In secret, I hope they're talking, how do we prioritize this? First priority is to defeat ISIS, ISIL, DAESH. And then the second priority is, once that is done, thoroughly done, then to form a new government, of which I assume Assad would have to be a part for a while, an interim government, as they work towards a government that both Iran and the United States, as well as others in the region, including Moscow, feel is a more representative of the Syrian people government.
Now, in his speech, Obama praised U.S. efforts to support democracy across the globe. But hours later, Vladimir Putin took the podium and slammed democratic revolution, so to say. Let's take a listen.
Democracy, the constant struggle to extend rights to more of our people, to give more people a voice, is what allowed us to become the most powerful nation in the world. And I believe that what is true for America is true for virtually all mature democracies.
Apparently, nobody's learning from others' mistakes and are only repeating them, and the export of these so-called democratic revolutions goes on.
After what's been said, Lawrence, by Obama and by Putin, how do you think the upcoming meeting between the two will play out?
Let me say that first, and very frankly, I wish President Obama would look to his own democracy before he starts accusing others of having no democracy. The democracy in the United States right now is under extreme duress, maldistribution of wealth, ill treatment of its minorities, you name it. We do better to look at our own democracies rather than trying to spread democracy, as it were, across the world. But I'll come back to my other point, the one that I made first. I think Syria and the civil war there is a serious problem. In the region, it is the most serious problem. It is even more of a problem than Iran's supposed nuclear program. And if Moscow, Ankara, Tehran, Riyadh, Washington don't get together and first defeat Daesh, ISIS, ISIL, and then work on the government so it's more representative of the Syrian people, we're not going to put an end to this. And we're going to have refugees all over the world. I understand Mr. Putin's problems. I understand there are over 2,000 people fighting in Syria who might come back to places like Chechnya and so forth. I understand his concern. I understand what he's doing. I understand his concern with Georgia and his concern with Ukraine. We need to appreciate those concerns and operate on a more strategic level as we appreciate those concerns. We need to cooperate, not be fighting each other.
Many diplomats and presidents have been making that point of late. I want to go back to the strategies aimed at resolving the Syrian crisis specifically. Obama is expected to ask Putin for Russian support in combating ISIL. What kind of support could he be looking for from Russia?
Russia's got naval infantry, it's got some aircraft, and it's got logistics on the ground now in Syria. And of course, they have a port there. And so they have maritime and naval assets beyond those they've already put ashore. They could be a formidable force in fighting ISIS. I have a problem somewhat with this, though, because, you know, there are 4.5 million men under arms in that region. 4.5 million men. This is Saudi Arabia, this is Oman, this is Qatar, this is Egypt, this is all of the region. And there may be 30 or 40,000 Daesh. What's the problem there? Why do we need all these external powers to defeat ISIS when there are so many powers that could do it in the region? The problem here is that some of those powers are actually supporting ISIS with money, with other logistic support and so forth. We need to get that stopped. We need to prioritize, as President Rouhani said in New York, we need to prioritize, and the first priority needs to be to defeat ISIS, and the first echelon of that defeat needs to be native forces, indigenous forces, not outside forces.
Lawrence Wilkerson, former Chief of Staff to Secretary of State Colin Powell. Thanks so much for that.